Today, we're ranking the absolute strongest aliens in the entirety of Ben 10. I've agonizingly skimmed through 5 series and 393 episodes to find the best of the best when it comes to otherworldly organisms, and am here to pass on that info to you in far less mind-numbing fashion. After all, you wouldn't want all that work I did to go to waste, right? Right? With that out of the way, I'll say this now. This is gonna be slightly subjective, but I'll do my best to stick to facts and logic for a show about a kid with a watch that turns him into a bunch of aliens. And here we go. Starting off our list at the number 10 spot, yeah, we're gonna do a top 10 list for this, folks, we've one that may kind of surprise ya. So, do you remember in the original Ben 10 series how Ben had an alien named Heatblast? I mean, you probably do. He was the first alien he transformed into, after all. Regardless, Heatblast was an alien with pyrokinesis, meaning he had complete control over fire. He could shoot fire, absorb fire, turn into a freaking fire tornado if he wanted to, and he could also fly by blasting himself into the air. All of that is pretty strong, so I mean, I think it's fair to say that he'd be more than a fine inclusion on this list, but surprise, he's not gonna show up here. Let me explain. But first, so do you remember in the original Ben 10 series how Ben had an alien named Wildvine? He was this green guy who had chlorokinesis, meaning he had complete control over plants. He was also stretchy and could shoot smoke bombs and thorns and stuff. Okay, he may not be as cool as Heatblast, but still, pretty solid alien as well. But here's the twist. What if I told you that you could have the powers of these two pretty cool aliens combined into one much more powerful one? Well, you can with our number 10 alien on our list, Swampfire. Debuting in Ben 10 Alien Force, this guy is just a little bit busted. And like I said, he's basically got the powers of both Wildvine and Heatblast. He's got flight, he's got fireballs, he's got weird seed thingies he throws, and a little bit more too. Swampfire has the ability to reattach limbs, slip through tight spaces.
This mustn't register on an emotional level. First, discombobulate.
And has a lot of stuff he's just straight up invulnerable to, like freezing temperatures, for instance. And the best part is, and you'll be hearing this a lot in this video, that's not even his final form. Because yes, ladies and gentlemen, Swampfire can evolve into Ultimate Swampfire, a bigger, bluer version of himself. And if you know anything about fire, blue is hotter. So, canonically, Ultimate Swampfire is hotter than normal Swampfire. Don't take that out of context! Anywho, this big blue blazing beefcake takes the Swampfire species, the Methanosian, to the next level, giving him super speed, super strength, and also a little bit of intangibility to radiation to boot, because he really needed it, you know. Next up, we have Diamond Head, who's really kind of one of the MVPs of the series. He has been around since the very beginning, and has a pretty simple gimmick. He's made of ultra-durable diamond, and he can control it as well. Sounds simple, maybe even too simple, but those abilities actually pack much more of a punch than they may let on. For starters, Petrosapiens, the alien race Diamond Head is, can shoot out crystals at will, and with them being nearly indestructible and all, you can probably guess just how dangerous that can be. On that note, he can also morph his arms into whatever he feels like. Hammers, knives, you name it, he can do it. And it doesn't just stop at limbs either, as he can just create a large mass of crystals from the ground to wreak massive amounts of havoc across an area. Being a Diamond 2, he can just straight up reflect lasers or whatever else he feels like, or just tank the hits because, well, he's incredibly durable. And if he does manage to break a little, he can just regenerate at a moment's notice. But it's not just lasers and weapons he's invulnerable to. He can also breathe underwater, because why not? And most importantly of all, he's pretty much invulnerable to aging. Yeah, diamonds age incredibly slowly. And so, if Ben really felt like it, he could just chill his Diamond Head till the end of time. Only if he wanted to, though. We've all seen that one picture of Skips from a regular show. Immortality can be as much of a curse as it is a blessing. Getting away from ethics now, I'll end off this discussion about Diamond Head by listing off 2 of my favorite abilities of his. He's also able to fly just by launching himself off of crystals he creates from the ground. So take that, Swampfire. Launching yourself via crystals is so much cooler than doing it via fire. And finally, as displayed by Tetrax, another Petrosapien, he can engulf people in crystals, Carbonite style. That is horrifying. Moving right along, we're looking at gray matter. Okay, hear me out. So when Ben turns into a Galvan, the alien that gray matter is, he becomes super tiny.
Get off me, you tiny little...
All right, I understand that doesn't sound that crazy. Hell, some of you may think that Ben effectively is nerfing himself when he gets that small. And while I can kinda almost agree with that if we're talking about sheer strength, I've got some info that may help me prove my point a little.
Sure about that?
So here's the thing. Already, you can kinda use that size to your advantage if you're smart. You can easily evade your enemies and hide away with ease, or even head into whatever technology you see and screw it up. That's pretty solid, I'd say. But here's the other thing about gray matter and technology. Whenever Ben becomes a Galvan, he gains the intellect of the species, and Galvans just so happen to be some of the smartest creatures in the universe, so you can probably guess where this is going. As a Galvan, Ben's enhanced intellect allows him to understand a machine and its functions just by looking at it. And with all the deadly space technology that exists in the universe of Ben 10, that's a lot of potential chaos in the mind of the little guy. He can also make advanced mechanisms with a bunch of junk he finds lying around. And so, if he starts to pick up on what makes a doomsday device tick, suffice to say, if he felt like destroying a small city, I betcha he could do it. But let's not stop at cities. Let's think about the entire universe's demise instead. Though, fair warning, this is a bit of wishful thinking. So, this is Azimuth, a Galvan himself, and also creator of the Omnitrix.
I'm still not sure the universe is worth saving, but while I think about it...
Azimuth made the Omnitrix, a tool that ended up causing entire races to go to war over the potential wartime benefits it could serve. Hypothetically, Ben could make more Omnitrixes as gray matter if he felt like it, and create his own army to take over the galaxy in pretty quick fashion. All thanks to that ginormous brain inside his dumb-looking head. However, another fun fact about Azimuth, he implanted a bomb in the Omnitrix that once detonated can destroy the entire universe, because the Omnitrix wasn't powerful enough as is. And again, hypothetically, Ben could recreate this bomb as gray matter if he so felt inclined, and potentially do it with spare car parts he'd find in a junkyard. That is terrifying. But okay, here's the deal. Ben is an idiot. Not gray matter is Ben, just the kid, Ben Tennyson. So while we do know that Ben's intelligence gets a massive bump when he goes Galvan, does that bump take him up to Azimuth level IQ?
No.
Again, I'd say it's kinda wishful thinking. Or I guess like not so wishful thinking considering I don't wish for the death of the universe, but you get my point. Even still, the potential damage Ben could cause as gray matter, even without the bombs and Omnitrix army and stuff, is enough to rank him on this list in my opinion. Size doesn't matter, folks, unless you're talking about IQ size. Or bomb size, I guess. Alright, this next one is a tricky placement, and you'll understand what I mean later on. But here's the deal. We're looking at Ghostfreak. Ghostfreak is an ectoneurite, meaning he's basically whatever you think of when you think ghosts turned up to 11.
You sus.
Ghostfreak can fly. Just straight up. No pushing off the ground with fire or diamonds or whatever, he can just do it. He can become intangible and fly through anything, and then become tangible once more at the opportune moment. Good luck getting into a fist fight with an opponent you can't hit. Oh, and he can rip his chest open and stab you with tentacles he's storing away in there. And telekinesis too, can't forget that. But here's the real kicker. Ghostfreak can possess people. And not just that, but he can fly around with those people too, and then phase out of them, leaving them to die potentially. But that's not the worst of it still. As if he feels like it, Ghostfreak can just straight up wipe someone's consciousness while he's possessing them, effectively turning you into a brainless zombie husk of yourself. Oh, and all of this is enhanced if you're in perfect darkness. So yeah, I don't know what you want me to say here. Ghostfreak doesn't mess around. But here's the problem with him. Some of those things have asterisks. For instance, Ghostfreak can be rejected by an individual with a strong enough will, and he can be electrocuted or gooped by this orange juice looking thing while he's intangible. I mean, I get some people hate pulp, but I never thought it'd be that bad.
Your protoplasm is now
The biggest issue with Ghostfreak though is the scare. So to make a very, very, very long story short, the DNA the Omnitrix took for Ghostfreak just so happened to be a piece of the scare. And so after being trapped for so long, he broke free and then tried to take over the planet by turning everyone purple and covering the world in darkness. That's kinda a safety hazard, I'd say. Now, granted, Ben gets Ghostfreak back later after defeating the scare, but again, still a big risk to just be carrying that baggage with you all the time. So he's not gonna go any higher than this on the list for me. Following that, the next alien on our list is Way Big, who is way big. Who'd have guessed? Way Big first showed up at the end of the first Ben 10 movie, Secret of the Omnitrix. In that movie, Vilgax, you know, the space warlord who has it out for Ben and the Omnitrix for the entire series, is taken care of uber quickly by Way Big, when he, and I'm not joking here, quickly tosses him out of the atmosphere and into the cold vacuum of space. Let me remind you, this is the main antagonist of the series we're talking about. And this was the first time Ben had become Way Big. But is that not big enough for you? Well, okay. What if Vilgax was bigger? Or say even the same size as Way Big? Nope, doesn't matter. Back to space with you, dummy. He's still getting tossed like a sack of worthless space potatoes. And yeah, as well as being able to just toss people beyond the stratosphere, Way Big is ultra durable, can jump super high, and can also just... shoot beams out of his arms. He can also survive space and can run so fast, he creates a vacuum. That's a planet-wrecking move, potentially. And guess what? That's not even his final form. Ultimate Way Big is all this and more. He's bigger and stronger than before, and is also able to nearly butcher an immortal Cthulhu-esque demon from another dimension with his beams. He may not be able to beat old Dagon, but how about this? You try to take out a Lovecraftian monster beyond your comprehension, and then come back and criticize Way Big all you want. Also, gotta say this, Way Big is just straight up Ultraman. Shoutouts to the viewers who are fans of semi-obscure Japanese pop culture from the 60s and 70s like I am. Next up, we have Clockwork, a big old metal guy. Now, at first glance, this lumbering hunk of gears looks like nothing more than a below-average living humanoid clock creature. He's slow, he's got a funny German accent.
Clockwork's not good for... Take a dump.
And even as a clock, he doesn't have hands. I'm supposed to tell the time with him. I meant clock hands, by the way. He has normal hands, don't worry. But for what he lacks in hour and minute hands, Clockwork makes up for in sheer brokenness. Clockwork is indeed a giant mechanical clock, and so yeah, does move a bit slow. But does that really matter when you can control time itself and speed yourself up by slowing down time whenever you feel like it? Or you can always just piss around and speed up time if you feel like it too. There's always that. Being in touch with and control of all of time, Clockwork is also able to just figure out exactly when something happened, or when something is going to happen. Yeah, that's right. Get out of here, physics. Are you a chronosapien? I think not. Take your tarot cards and shove them up your... Though, most notably, Clockwork has the ability to shoot these green beams out that can cause whatever time-related harm he can imagine. Want to send someone back in time? How about an alternate universe? Want to just de-age them to the point where they can't fight? Or how about you just age them up to the point where they're dust? Good news, if you're Clockwork, you can do so. Apparently, Clockwork also has the ability to time travel if he feels like it.
What a shocker.
Though, notably, Ben never did it in the show, so maybe it's harder than it seems? I don't know. It knocks a few points off for him, considering he is an alien whose gimmick is time-related garbage, but even still, this alien is a beast. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time to move on to the next alien. I had to make the joke, and you can't stop me. Next up is energy. There really isn't too much to say here, except this guy is radioactive. Which, yeah, radioactivity isn't anything to mess around with. If you're walking around anything radioactive, chances are you aren't walking out the same. You're walking out with either less limbs than you walked in with, more limbs than you walked in with, or, cancer. Or you just won't walk out at all, which is probably preferable here. So, yeah, energy shoots freaking cancer beams out of the vents in his suit, and those suckers will just tear away at your cells. But notice what I said there, the suit. that's not actually the alien at all. Inside the suit is the Pripyatos itself. When this guy is out of the suit, that's when you're really in trouble. You're invulnerable, you can fly, you can blast balls of energy at whatever you feel like, and worst of all, you can absorb any other energy nearby to become even more powerful.
Don't let him do that.
So, say you wanted to go to a nuclear power plant as NRG, you'd be able to walk out, or I guess fly out, even more powerful than when you walked in. Yep. Next up, we're looking at Gravitak, an alien who is a living planet. Looks a little bit more like a living asteroid to me, but whatever. I guess you can see the core of his planetary body on his stomach, which proves he's a planet, but still looks like an asteroid to me. So we've got a walking planet. Great. That's already a threat in my eyes. If you folks know anything about how planets work, you know they've got a gravitational pull. And Gravitak, being a planet, does indeed check that box. Actually, he does a bit more than check the box. He draws another box next to it, and then checks that one as well. I say that because the guy doesn't just have a pull. He can control gravity itself, being able to change the direction to whatever he wants. To go along with that, if someone attacks his core enough, he starts to go into a meltdown and can explode, leveling massive areas of land as a result. So hopefully nobody does any oil fracking on a Galilean. Oh, also he can turn himself into a ball. God damn it, that's a planet form. My asteroid theory is dead. But all of this is kind of tame compared to some of our other contenders. What exactly does Gravitak do that gets him such a high placement on this list? Well, he can make black holes. You know, black holes, the things that absorb matter and stretch it beyond comprehension. Yeah, a black hole. Now, the only issue with this is that when Ben did this back in Omniverse, it was because he was also dealing with some time beast, which when you mix space and time together, yeah, makes sense stuff like this would happen. Oop. Wait, hold on. Just got a notification from Twitter. Not X. Suck it, Elon. Anywho, let's read this real quick. Oh, it's from Duncan Rollo, one of the creators of Ben 10. How coincidental and convenient. Let me take a look here. Oh, okay. So, Gravitak can potentially create supermassive black holes on its own. Good to know. I think that just about says it all. Ranking at number 2 on today's list is Atomics. And get this, you won't believe it, he is an atomic alien. Now, we've already looked at Energy, who's powerful as is, but remember when I said he'd become more powerful if he walked into a nuclear reactor? Well, Atomics just straight up is a nuclear reactor, who can also fly. He's got more than just cancer beams, he's got cancer blasts, being able to decimate areas around him with a single punch. He always kinds of chants right before doing some crazy move, which, though it may be a little obnoxious, helps him focus and concentrate on his attack, which makes his stuff even stronger. So, good for him, I guess. Still a bit braggadocious, though. I mean, come on, dude. And while Gravitak can create black holes, this guy can create stars. And what happens when a star explodes and dies? That's right, more black hole abilities! Who needed matter anyway? Also, on multiple occasions, the guy just puts ultra-powerful aliens into space. So, I mean, what else do you guys need me to say? The dude is a space bomb. Now, before we hit our number 1 alien, let's do some honorable mentions. Gonna go ahead and make them quick, though. Big Chill. He's a big ol' blue butterfly boy who shoots ice, can become invulnerable, can fly, etc. Pretty cool. Also, he can be red and more powerful. Pretty neat, right? Okay. Feedback. He can absorb anything. At one point, he shot a big bang at someone because he absorbed the energy.
You wanted your very own big bang.
But I don't know how truthful that is, considering how puny this blast is. That's not a big bang, man. That's a tiny whimper right there. Humongosaur. It's in the name. He's a giant dinosaur-looking guy.
It's hero time!
He can also be green if you're more into that. And finally, blocks. Legos! All right, be honest. How many of you who clicked on this video knew what the number 1 placement was going to be going into it? Did any of you guys have a doubt it would be Alien X? Well, okay, if you don't know, here's the deal. This is Alien X, a celestial sapien. When Ben transforms into him, he becomes solid as a statue. From there, he can do anything he wants. He's a god. He's just a straight up god. He can reverse gravity, he can create whatever he wants, he can destroy whatever he wants, he can just do anything. At one point, he survived a bomb that wiped out the universe, and then subsequently rebuilt the universe.
I was too late to save the universe, so I used Alien X to make a whole new one.
There's not a single doubt about it. Alien X is the top of the list. He literally doesn't even exist on this plane of the universe. The only catch with him is that you have to convince these two green mask deities to agree with whatever it is you plan to do. Hell, you can even convince them to break their own rules and you could just start moving. No more statue problems.
Surprise!
I've talked about Alien X before on this channel, and I'll say it again. If you're a persuasive person and you have Alien X's power in your hands, everything is at your will. Existence itself can be altered with a single thought. And there we are, folks. The 10 strongest aliens in Ben's arsenal. What did you think of the list? Did you agree with my picks? Would you rearrange anything? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video enough, maybe I'll make a worst Ben 10 aliens video as well. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! Also, shoutouts to the Ben 10 toys. They've always been amazing. Except for Booger Heatblast. I am not touching that. Ugh.